Listen the next time you turn off a light. There's a tiny click. Someone designed that sound on purpose. It feels like a side effect. Just plastic touching plastic. The cost of moving parts moving. But every toggle switch on Earth makes that exact sound. In factories worldwide. In the same way. For the same reason. And the reason isn't aesthetic. And it isn't tradition. It's a rule from 1916 that decided how the entire idea of a light switch would work. And the click is the sound of that rule still running every time. Those are exactly the kinds of buried fingerprints we chase. That's the reason why. Every light switch in every room of every house, hotel, office, and gas station on Earth makes a click when you flip it. You hear it dozens of times a day. It's one of the most consistent sounds in modern life, and almost nobody asks where it comes from. Most of us assume it's just what plastic does when plastic moves, a side effect of two pieces clacking together. The switch has to move. Movement makes sound. But that's not what's happening at all. The click is engineered, deliberately, and every component of a toggle switch is shaped around producing it. And the reason traces back to a single, almost forgotten patent that nobody knows the name of. Before 1916, the switches in homes were knife switches, a brass blade you swung up against a contact. Every time you closed one slowly, you weren't making a circuit. You were watching one form. As the metal got close, current jumped the gap before contact, drew an electric arc through the air, and slowly burned the metal of the blade and the contact away. A switch flipped wrong 10,000 times became a switch that didn't work. Or worse, a switch that started fires. Insurance underwriters flagged knife switch installations as elevated risk. The industry needed a switch that worked the same way, regardless of who flipped it. The fix had to live in the switch itself. The fix came from two men in New Britain, Connecticut, in 1916. William J. Newton and Morris Goldberg filed a patent for the snap-action toggle. Inside the switch is a spring. As you push the toggle, you don't directly move the contacts. You compress the spring. The spring builds up tension. At the over-center point, the spring has nowhere left to go. It releases all that stored energy at once, and the contacts slam together at a speed your finger could never produce. Even if you flip the switch in slow motion, the contacts close fast. The arc has no time to form. It all happens because of two engineers in New Britain, Connecticut, and a single spring. So that's the click. Spring tension, released. A side effect of arc prevention engineering that happens to make a sound. Except that's not the whole story either. Because once toggle switches were everywhere, in every wall, in every hand, that little snap became something else. People expected it. They needed it. A switch that didn't click felt broken, even when it worked perfectly. So engineers, decades later, did something strange. They began adding the click on purpose into things that didn't need it at all. Buttons on car dashboards, capacitive panels on appliances, switches with no spring inside. The click had stopped being a side effect and started being a feature, an entire design language people now expected. Walk into a modern home built in the last 5 years and you'll find something interesting. The light switches there might not be light switches at all. They might be smart panels, capacitive surfaces with no moving parts, controlled by an app on your phone. Tap 1. You'll hear a click. There's no spring inside, no contact, no electrical connection near your finger. The device is playing a recorded sound, sometimes a sample of a toggle switch, to make sure you know the command was received. The click has become so integral to our experience of electricity that we now record it, store it digitally, and play it back as audible confirmation, even when nothing happened. Pull out your phone. Press the volume rocker on the side. You hear a tiny click, but there's no spring inside that button. It's a piezoelectric actuator built into the metal frame, vibrating just enough to imitate a mechanical click that doesn't exist. The same trick as in your laptop trackpad, your car's window switch, and elevators that no longer use mechanical buttons. Engineers run focus groups specifically on the click, the right pitch, the right resistance, the right delay, the exact decibel. We've spent 110 years engineering the absence of arcing, and somewhere in those years the byproduct stopped being a byproduct. Now it's something we manufacture deliberately, even when we don't need it. But the light switch on your wall, the actual one, the one your finger is going to touch, is still mechanical. Pull off the faceplate. Loosen the 2 screws. The toggle inside is the same toggle Newton and Goldberg drew in 1916. A spring, 2 contacts, a pivot point that lets the spring go over center. The casings have been refined. The plastic has been swapped for fire-resistant polymers. The contacts are different alloys. But the heart of the thing, the part that produces the click, is the same mechanism in the same arrangement, doing the same job. More than a century later, you aren't flipping a switch. You're firing a small, spring-loaded patent every time. Every light switch in every room, kitchen, bathroom, hallway, hotel, carries the fingerprint of 2 men in New Britain, Connecticut. William J. Newton and Morris Goldberg filed their snap-action patent in 1916, and they were not solving for sound. They were solving for fire. A switch that closes its contacts slowly is a switch that arcs. A tiny lightning bolt that pits the metal ionizes the air and over months turns a working circuit into a fire hazard. Their answer was a spring you compress until it has no choice but to release. The contacts have to slam together. Physics doesn't let them ease in. And when a piece of metal slams into another piece of metal at full spring tension, it makes a sound. The click was never the goal. The click is the receipt. And every other clicking thing in your house, the rocker switch, the pen tip, the latch on a kitchen cabinet, is a descendant of the same idea, working the same way for the same reason, more than 100 years downstream of one New Britain patent. So, every time your finger flips a switch on a wall, what you hear is 110 years of arc prevention engineering doing its quiet daily work in less than the time it takes to blink. That's one of them. The patent buried inside an everyday thing. Subscribe and you'll catch the next one, and the one after that. There's a whole channel of these little hidden stories.